everybody. Episode 19 of the PITSTOP PALs. Nielson and Gage back with you once again, part of the Nielson Media Coolbet Network, where if you go to Coolbet right now and click on Formula One bets, Verstappen's off the board for winning the entire thing because I just don't know why it's basically locked up. Now, if you're a fan of the long shot, Charles Leclerc plus 10,000, Checo plus 25,000, George Russell plus 25,000, and Carlos Sainz right now at plus 100,000, which is essentially 1,000 to 1 shot to try to come back and win it. Gager, that's where we're at with Max Verstappen after what we just saw again this weekend, aren't we?
Well, I remember last year, same track, I put money on Bottas to win the championship because I thought that Max and Lewis were going to kill each other. So, and obviously I didn't win that one. But it was a gargantuan number at that point too. So, but Max, there was a great interview with Jacques Villeneuve on the Friday, I believe it was. And he was just talking about how Max, and I watched a documentary series a long time ago with him talking about what it takes to win in Formula One and just to be on the edge of just going a little bit too fast and losing control of the car. He just had mentioned how the merger of man and machine that Max has right now, he's at that level that very few F1 drivers ever get to, where he's become part of that Red Bull car, essentially. He's a transformer.
Yeah, he's basically become a transformer. That's the best way to describe it. And we'll get to our podium here in just 1 second, but let's just quickly recap. The Italian Grand Prix, your top 10 looked like this. Max Verstappen at the top spot. Didn't take him long to get up there. I think it was 13 laps in, 13 laps in. He'd taken over. Charles Leclerc ended up finishing second. George Russell was in third. Carlos Sainz, a great drive. We'll get to him on the podium as well. He finished fourth. Lewis was in fifth. Checo in sixth. Lando Norris in seventh. One of the better days for Lando so far this year. Pierre Gasly, a quiet eighth. Nick De Vries, not a quiet ninth. A lot of people talking about him and what he was able to do as he basically ships Latifi off into F1 retirement. And then Villeneuve ended up finishing 10th. Nice point there for the Alfa Romeo rookie as well. We'll save it with De Vries because, man, you got to be Latifi just being like, damn it. And we can talk about De Vries later on, but Gager, if you're Latifi right now, I mean, you can't be very pleased with what's going down. Like
you're so done. Like if you look at the whole weekend for De Vries, he did FP1 in the Aston Martin, I believe, right? So, and then he gets the call that he's going to go race in the Williams, gets in and out qualifies Latifi in qualifying, and then just leaves him in the dust. And not only just, finishes ahead of his teammate, challenges for in the points and battles quite well. And man, it was really, really cool to see the fraternity of drivers congratulating Nick De Vries afterwards. Like you saw Gasly come over. His shoulders hurt so bad he couldn't even get out of the car. They needed the pit crew to come and unbuckle him and get him out of the Williams there. And
just driving like this the whole time.
He said he couldn't lift his expletive arms, I guess. And you saw Lewis give him a big hug, and because he's, as he's the Mercedes reserve driver, and to see George Russell congratulate him. Huge hug between him and Max, both countrymen, and it was pretty neat to see. I'm glad for him because I watch a lot of that F1 TV. His broadcasting skills are quite good. There's definitely something for him in the future on that side of things. But great drive for him to get the points and to put Latifi 21 in a 20-man field for points. It's over. Too bad. He's Canadian. I would love.
We'd love to see a Canadian star. That'd be great. Yeah.
But Jacques Villeneuve is going to be testing, albeit the last year's car for Alpine, I think, this week. So, which is funny. Maybe a comeback. Yeah, that's
kind of interesting. Wouldn't that be? That'd be an amazing comeback. Out of nowhere like that. That'd be pretty incredible. You speak about broadcasting skills, and I watched De Vries. I think it was after the last game post race, right? He was chatting on the panel there at the end. And you're right. I thought he was smooth. I also think this. I would love to see, if he's not back in Formula One, he doesn't go anywhere else. I'd love to see Danny Ricciardo breaking down these races, man. Right? Would that not be a good get for F1 TV or whoever's going to broadcast, Sky Sports, whatever? He's charismatic, he's smooth, he's funny. He'd be awesome on those broadcasts.
I think he's great. He was already interviewing the Formula 2 champion.
Yes,
to a point
I saw that.
there, right? And you know, I think I said to you, Dusty, they should really change the name of Drive to Survive to The Fall of Daniel Ricciardo, because essentially every year the show, he's just gotten worse and worse and making terrible decisions. So yeah, it's sad. But again, with the Villeneuve interview, they asked him flat out, should Ricciardo be in an F1 seat? He says, not a chance. I mean, how do you hire a guy that hasn't performed well over the past 3 years? Yes, he's won one race, but extremely disappointing, I have to say, over the last few years with Ricciardo. I can't see him, although I like him and I kind of root for him. I don't see him getting that seat.
Nah, probably not going to happen. But maybe be a regular guest in the Pit Stop Pals or something. That would be. We're joined by Danny Ricciardo again this week.
I'll reach out.
That would be amazing.
I'll reach out.
Yeah, that would be great. All right, let's get to your Pit Stop Pals Podium, brought to you by our wonderful partners at Mobile One and Mr. Lube. Mobile One doesn't just keep your vehicle running, it keeps your engine running like new. Have your Mobile One synthetic oil change completed at all your Mr. Lube locations. Same-day oil change and tire service with no appointment necessary. Pop in and Mr. Lube will take care of you and get you some of that good Mobile One synthetic oil. I'll have some trivia a little bit later on here, a chance to win one of these hats and a gift certificate ranging from like $90 up to $138 for an oil change, depending on what type of oil change you would like to get your hands on. Top spot on the podium this week for us will be the top spot on the podium at the Italian Grand Prix. We are in a stretch of dominance right now here from Max Verstappen, Gager. He's won 11 races on the season. He's been on the podium in 13 of 16. Basically right now, if this guy finishes a race, everybody else finishes behind him. It's not really in doubt. He went into this race as like a minus 150 favorite, and he wasn't even on the first or second row. It was insane, but and they did it again. It almost seems boring for Red Bull at this point.
Just from where he started, Dustin, I think he was on the podium after the first lap, right? Like just cutting.
Yeah, first or halfway through the second. It was nuts.
And it to me, it was weird to see, not so much, but not a lot of other cars kind of battling Max to get past, but seeing his lunge after the first lap, and of course, you know me, Dusty, I'm in that helmet cam, and he was gaining, and I thought, wow, he's braking really late on this, and just have the cojones to do that on the first lap and get past, and just dominance after that. Well, of course, it seems like every week we do talk about the decision making of Ferrari, Dusty. But yeah, just he's the transformer. That's what they should have his the old theme song of the Transformers going when he gets into the car. He's unbelievable, unmatched. He can wrap this thing up in Singapore. I would really like to see if he does get this wrapped up, what Red Bull does with, I mean, they pretty much have the constructors wrapped up as well, too, right? Can they not just kind of really coast the rest of the year and put more towards next year's car and putting all their focus onto the following year? It'd be interesting to see if they just keep dominating and winning races. I'm sure Max is kind of like that. One more thing, I don't know if you've watched that show Senna yet, Dusty, but
I have not. I have not watched Senna yet.
There's a point where he's in Monte Carlo racing, and it's a perfect race. It's the perfect meld, man and machine, and he's essentially a minute ahead of his second place. Like he's going to start lapping everybody, and he ends up putting the car into the wall. But it was the most perfect. He says it's the most perfect drive he's ever done. And I think Max is along those same lines where he just wants to just destroy everyone. And what a mindset going into next year, knowing that you just crushed everybody in this first year with this new car.
Well, here's one thing that he's got, and I want to get to that Ferrari decision in a second, and we can do that here as well. But here's the one thing he does have going for him. He's already won 11 races. The all-time record's 13, Gager, and there's still 6 left. Like, I'm sure Red Bull and Christian Horner and Max Verstappen want to track down 14 wins this year to have the greatest season in Formula One history. That's got to be a motivation for that team, doesn't it? Especially when it seems like it could come so easy. You're telling me Max Verstappen's not going to win 3 of the next 6 races?
I can't. That'd be tough. I wouldn't bet against it. I couldn't. I don't think I could. Not with the way he's driving and the way that car works. No. I could. I don't see him losing, to tell you the truth, Dusty, unless he really.
If the car finishes the race, he should be at the front, right? Like, that's it.
Yeah, like, so it's, and all the next few tracks, just, I think they're right in that Red Bull wheelhouse too, because they did make some changes to this track and put more downforce on, or less downforce on the car, or more. Sorry, I
changed the downforce.
Changed it up a little bit. Yeah. So, yeah.
All right, before we move on to the other 2 spots in the podium, Red Bull basically did say, or was said on the broadcast, that Red Bull was going to do whatever Charles Leclerc didn't do on that first virtual safety car. Leclerc decided to go in, get the tires. Verstappen stayed out, and basically the rest is history at that point, Gager. But what do you think of that decision from Ferrari? And, I mean, at the time, when you see the other guys don't, you're like, oh, what have they done? And okay, well, maybe it'll play out. But when they had to bring him back in for more, it was a little frustrating, I think, of that situation. So what'd you think of the early decision from Ferrari? Was it a little bit of panic that almost worked out, or kind of worked out anyway? Or what do you think?
Yeah, I think maybe they saw it, because when I look at it, how can you give up track position to Max at that point? And he was
at any point, right?
But any point, just to battle with him. That was kind of puzzling. But then to be that early on into the race and go to the medium tire, you're setting yourself up for a 2-stop there, right? So I was surprised more that I didn't see the hard tires go on at that point, Dusty, and just hopefully it gets to that point later and maybe battle at the end against Max. But they automatically put them into a 2-stop situation. So early
to put on those mediums like that. Yeah.
And there was data, because Perez was on the hard, and the thing is, like, I think Max went for another 10 laps on the softs, like, and still putting in really good times with low deg on those tires. They did say that the degradation because of the downforce was a little bit heavier on the Ferraris, but another decision that's very questionable from Ferrari, and you could see it in Charles' face afterwards. Very upset, and man, just the okay, if Max does plan A, we'll do plan C. How do you feel? Like, it's just I don't get it. I don't get the back and forth with the communication, and it just looks like it's in shambles. It's really bad.
It does look messy. There's no doubt about that. All right, let's get to the second spot on our Pit Stop Pals Mobile One Mr. Lube podium. And for that, they started in 18th and 19th. And a very nice day, a very good drive. Kind of shows how even the secondary cars below Red Bull can work their way through the rest of the field. Carlos Sainz and Lewis Hamilton, considering the penalties they took and where they started, Gager, you got to be pretty ecstatic with what you're able to accomplish, don't you?
Oh man, for them to go through on that track, and 2 different type of kind of strategies, I guess, to get through the field too, right? Carlos, very aggressive going through with that Mercedes car, taking chances, and Lewis taking a more subtle approach and biding his time and getting through everyone and calculated passing. But then to finish where they were and to finish in the points, so, like, a lot of the stuff that happened throughout the race was they were overshadowed by, but 2 great races by Carlos and Lewis. I'm interested to see, but with all those new parts and being able to turn up this engine for the last few races, it was the same thing that happened to Lewis last year, where they just had those new engine parts and said that there was a lot of life left in that engine. So I would the chances of Lewis still winning a race, and
you still like him? You still like him getting one?
Yeah, I would say for sure one of those two guys is going to win a race here because I like George Russell, but I think he's really calculated. Doesn't take too many chances, just steady Eddie. But I think Lewis is going to with this new car and some new parts. I'd look to him, and Max maybe just letting off the throttle a little bit and might create some room for someone else to win one of these at the end. But
Lewis currently sits sixth in the driver standings, 168. Sainz is at 187. Russell's at 203. Checo's at 210. And Charles Leclerc, after the finish this week, is sitting at 219. Do you think Leclerc hangs on to that spot, or does Mercedes track him down? Or Checo, even, if maybe they start to give a little bit of love to Perez to try to get the 1-2 finish.
You could see that. Yeah, that'll be interesting to see if they want to finish 1-2. Then Max could probably run some interference and things. That would be kind of neat to see them do that. The other thing I wanted to talk about was the safety car, finishing on a safety car with you.
Yes.
There all the talk about, and they were saying like Lewis having flashbacks, and they showed that great meme of him in Apocalypse Now looking back. But I don't know. That's got to hurt Lewis to see that they follow the rules at this race, but not last year. And I really think there should be some rule if there is a safety car within those last 5 laps. Let's just go full red flag, get them back into the pits, put them all, and let's have a dash, like a sprint race for those final spots. I think it sucked watching Max win.
It did suck. If you're looking, and a lot of the things they've talked about, Gage, or at least since I've been following the sport, which, a couple of years now, a lot of the things they've talked about, especially coming out of last year, is wanting that excitement, right? A lot of things they've done with the car to try to create that excitement. And finishing under a virtual safety car or a safety car is not exciting. It's not exciting in any way. Now, you'll say, well, Max will say, well, look, I was in full control of this race. Well, that's what happens when there's a accident that causes a flag in the final 5 minutes. Now, does that mean that you got a bunch of AlphaTauris doing a favor for Red Bull if they're not winning, and all of a sudden Yuki Tsunoda's flying into the wall and they get to reset? I mean, maybe that's the one reason that they don't do that, because you could have a teammate kind of put you in a good spot. We'd all know exactly what was happening, I would think, in those situations. But I'm with you, man. If there's something that draws a flag in the final 5 laps, let them line up and do it again. That would just be amazing. Like, the first lap is always incredible, and you're going to have 5 straight laps of just insane race with the way the cars are now, and there's a lot of passing. I'd love to see it.
Well, look, Abu Dhabi last year, that was like Lewis. It was boring because Lewis was just cruising. Right?
Yep.
Max couldn't catch him, so it was over. But they got the heart pumping when these new. They said, okay, only these guys can pass, and we're gonna have a lap of racing. But it was so unfair because Max came in and put new tires on. Of course, he was gonna catch him and pass him. But if you were to put Lewis on, have everyone in and have those two battle on an equal playing field, I think that would have been a better way to decide the championship. It would it definitely tipped in Max's favor, and it's part of the race. But yeah, I would much rather. They already have sprint races, right, Dusty, for some qualifying. That's the ultimate sprint race if that happens. And sometimes I would much rather see that than seeing the only Aston Martin car to finish the race.
Yeah, and I would set it back to 5 no matter what. Like, even if it happens on the 4th lap, I would set it. Well, no. Maybe I would.
It's hard because of fuel.
That would be fair,
right?
But because, you're right. So even if it was 2 laps left, you do 2 laps, but it starts from red flag. Yeah. That'd be so fun. That would be so fun to watch. I mean, it's been pretty fun to watch too. And I know Max cruising the way he has kind of killed that championship buzz, but there's a great race for second right now. And I'm certainly not going to be fading away on any of this stuff. Third stop on the Mobile One Mr. Lou Pit Stop Pals Podium. Gager, we talked about him a little bit earlier on, but what a day, what a weekend for the DeVries kid. And, a bright future, obviously, staring him straight in the face.
Yeah, the death of Latifi. But great for him, man. Like we said, he seems like a really solid dude. But I hope to see him in that Williams next year. We've seen we didn't even talk about Alex Albon, right? Like thank God he's okay.
That was crazy. Tim Hauraney with that news. He was on a ventilator after getting appendicitis, and just a crazy story. But looks like he's going to be okay, so that's good news.
But if you were to tell me that Williams would be, in that, what do you want to say, like 7 to 12 range of cars in there and battling within there all the time, like I would have said you're crazy with how Alex Albon, and to see if Nick DeVries can get in there and they make some proper adjustments, I'm all for more battles. I hate to see cars at the back the whole year. So 2 young drivers battling it out. I'll definitely have my eye on Williams for next year if he does get that seat, because Alex has done really well this year too. It's the reason why Latifi won't be seeing him. Well, maybe in another kind of racing, but definitely not in F1 after DeVries' performance over the weekend.
Man, after being an F1 driver, it's got to be tough to suck it up and go race somewhere else, eh? Like, I guess maybe it's racing's racing, I guess maybe, but it's not the same, I wouldn't think.
The glamour of F1.
Yeah.
It's essentially, if you were going to look at, it's the NHL to the sweatshop East Coast League. You're carrying your own bag and filling up your own water bottle all of a sudden, and it's not champagne and I don't know, like steaks for pregame.
It's a little bit different now. Yeah,
a little bit different, but you could see the guys in say, I want to be part of this paddock. It just seems so glamorous. I mean, Sylvester Stallone sitting in the Red Bull. You got Hugh Grant in there. It's just it's a different level of sport where maybe in the next life, Dusty, we can come back and be F1 drivers.
I always say the only reason I'm not an F1 driver, I'm too tall, right? I'm too tall, I'm too big. I mean, that's really what's holding me back from pursuing it at the age of 41. What do we got? 3 weeks off here? Singapore's not till end of September, early October.
28th of September, so at the end of the month, we got to wait.
Yeah.
So
we'll have another episode before then, because we're going to have some news, right, over the next 3 weeks for sure. So
I think they might even decide some seats here over the next few weeks, Dusty. So,
so we'll probably bang out another episode next week of the following.
I like to get into the tech talk. Maybe we can have a tech talk episode.
That'd be fun.
And get some graphs up there. We'll see.
Yeah. I would like that. That would be good. Maybe we get Tim Hauraney on for an episode, actually. He might pop by. That'd be pretty fun, too.
That'd be awesome.
We got more content coming up between now and when that race is. We'll at least have an episode race week, if not one, before that as well. We do have a trivia prize. We've got a Mobile One racing hat, and we've got a gift certificate to Mr. Lube. You will get one of these and one of these if you answer the question correctly and you win the draw. So everybody who gets the answer correct will go into a draw. How you answer is just slide into my DMs at Nielson TSN 1260 on Twitter. Slide into my DMs and give us the correct answer. We mentioned a little bit earlier on, Max Verstappen has already won 11 races, matching the high of a season for Lewis Hamilton. There's another reason he wants another one. How many times did Lewis Hamilton win 11 races in a season? All right, find that answer. Send it to me on my Twitter account at Nielson TSN 1260. If you win the draw, you will be contacted, and we'll ship you out your Mobile One hat and your Mr. Lube gift certificate. How many times has Lewis Hamilton won 11 races in a season? Max Verstappen's put together 5 in a row, and he's going to be looking to make it 12 and a title in Singapore, which is, that's got to drive Lewis a little bit crazy, doesn't it? God.
Yeah, I mean, they're looking to next year already, Dusty. Like, it's all about the data that they can get with this car, because it's so weird with that Mercedes car. It doesn't perform well or up to snuff, I think, in qualifying at the start of the race, but that it seems to do well middle of the race.
Lewis on the mediums in this race, right? Like,
it's amazing what that car does once it gets that race pace and somehow, I don't know how it gets warmed up or something like that. But I am kind of looking forward to next year already, but we'll watch this battle for second in the Constructors and the Drivers' Championship for sure over the next 5 races.
That is going to do it for us. Once again, thank you very much to Mobile One and Mr. Lube. Have your Mobile One synthetic oil change completed at any Mr. Lube location. Same-day oil change and tire service. No appointment necessary. For Gager, I'm Nielsen. We'll be back with more Pit Stop Pals between now and the circuit picking up in late September. So make sure you're watching for that. If you've been watching on the stream tonight, make sure you subscribe to the podcast as well so you never miss an episode. Gager, we'll talk to you soon, buddy.
All right, buddy. Take care.